joining us on EDFL Preview. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Pleasure to be on the show.
A weekend off for the Western Jets. Finals not that far away. Obviously, a top 8 in the TAC Cup. How have you seen the season so far? Purely from a results point of view, we'll get into talking about individuals and development in a moment, but just as far as the actual end product of the results, how have you seen the campaign to date?
Well, we've been really pleased. I think just in terms of, I suppose where we sit now, we've got, we're in a good position next week. If we're able to win, we've pushed ourselves into the top 4. So from a results point of view, we've been really happy, and even a number of the losses we've had have been really close losses. We haven't been blown out of the water in many instances. So we've had a competitive season and been able to sort of play our entire list and give players an opportunity at the same time. So yeah, we're really pleased with how the year's gone.
Tell us a bit about obviously come draft time this year. It's been a pretty lean couple of years for Western Jets. I think Spencer White a couple of years ago and James Sicily were the only two, I suppose, in the last couple of years. But this year it seems as though that there could be quite a few Jets that could end up on the AFL lists. That's obviously really good to see. That's, obviously what the work that Shane Sexton, I know he works really hard, Secco down there at the Jets, that the work that everyone's putting in down there might actually yield a couple of future AFL players this year, because it seems like it might be a pretty good year for the Jets in that regard. Yeah,
I think this year will be pretty good from, and also just from the point of view that a number of our players have actually played in the championships, which gives them the opportunity to shine. And as you know, if you go well there, that you're a really good chance of getting drafted. And probably last year we only had James Sicily, and the year before it was with Spencer White and Lockie Hunter went as a father-son. Look, we'll probably think that we've got probably five to six boys in calculations there. At the same time, if you play finals and you play a couple of finals and some players happen to go well, they might put themselves in draft calculations. So I think this year is going to yield some good benefits for the club.
And Torin, as you know, we're an EDFL show, mate, and even though you've got the Western Region League pretty much right at your doorstep, a lot of those boys that might be in those draft calculations are actually EDFL boys. It's obviously good from our perspective. It's good to see some boys doing well, because obviously the Cannons have a lot of EDFL players as well. But tell us a bit about the connection between some of the EDFL clubs and the Western Jets. We're talking obviously Keele or Hillside. They're probably the main two. Taylor's Lakes as well. And even the new boys Heights as well. There's about 5 or 6 EDFL clubs now that I suppose are connected to the Jets in terms of local talent. So talk us through a bit about those connections between the EDFL and the Jets.
Yeah, well, it's great having the connection to the EDFL. It's a really good, strong league, and I suppose most of our boys that play at Keele are involved there. I know there's obviously a few boys that play at Keele that have connected to the Calder Cannons, but Jaden Laverty and Corey Ellis are both Keele boys, and they're certainly really good chances to obviously go in the draft. Even the game obviously that you got today with Hillside, we've got I think 5 players on our list from Hillside. So I know that Steve Kolonyuk and Rob Coletta, they're doing some great work with the club there, so we're getting and Keele, and as I said, Keele have been a really good club for us in terms of producing good junior players. That I think last year we had about 7 or 8 players on our list that had Keele as their home club. So yeah, I really enjoy the connection with the EDFL, and as I said, it's a good level of footy, and that produces good players.
If you don't mind, let's talk about some of the individuals, because I guess for the home club they'll know about them and they'll send them up to the TAC Cup, but a lot of the other fans around the league that are opposition clubs week to week will only see them on a regular basis, and the speculation will come through during the week, your TAC Cup guy's in, and I think Hillside's perhaps been the number one club that strikes fear in the hearts of their opponents, because they're all sweating on who's been selected or if it's a bye in the TAC Cup. But if we can start with some of those Hillside players, tell us a bit about Brandon Coletta, for instance, what sort of a footballer he is and what he's bringing to the TAC Cup this season.
Yeah, Brandon's terrific in that we think he can play at both ends of the ground. At the moment, he's probably doing a bit more damage as a forward. He's got a great set of hands, and he's a good kick for goal. And he's just a very, very smart player with good judgment. And I know he's performed really well at senior level for Hillside. Another boy who hasn't played as much at Hillside in recent times is Jackson Volpato. He's a small, he's only just under about 170 centimetres, but a real ball magnet. I know that Hillside obviously really enjoy getting him back as well. And so there's a couple of players that I know that have both made an impact at TAC level, and certainly good players with Hillside as well. And then Hillside have been good in giving some of the other players an opportunity to play senior football as well there.
The other 4 Hillside players listed are Luke Pulitano, Brody Seiler as well. They have also got, as I scan down the list, the young man Rusi Komatai, I hope I've said that correctly, and Jake Bertolo. To contribute 6 from one club to the list means that something must be going right down at Hillside. If you don't mind, could I get a comment on some of the strengths of the boys I've listed, and also just an overall impression of what exactly Hillside might have done to be able to produce one particular berth year that's been able to contribute so many players to a TAC Cup list?
Yeah, and that's what I said. It's really good from the point of view that they pushed their players up. I know Ray Stevens is heavily involved with Hillside, and as I said, Steve Collinuk and Rob Coletta, and they manage their club really well, and then give the boys the opportunity. So like you said, but some of those boys, Jake Bertolo is a bottom age player, has played at Vic Metro under 17s level. He's a really, really strong, physical young player. Ricky Comite is on our list. He played his first game for us last week. He's played a little bit of senior football, but he's more been playing in the under-18s. He's a development player. He's only played probably football for about 3 or 4 years. And then Luke Pulitano, he's only about 164 centimetres, Luke, and he's a very small boy, but he's a terrific kid. And unfortunately, he's undergone knee reconstruction, and he won't play any more games for the year. And then Brody Pasala has come onto our list later in the year, and he's played I think 3 games with us. They're doing really good things at Hillside, and I'm in constant contact with Steve Collinuk. He's always asking where I'd like the players to play in certain positions to make sure they're getting the development that they need when they do play at local level, and that sort of involvement is really, really good.
Torin, one more Hillside question before we move on to some of the other boys. Obviously, a lot of the Keilor boys that are down at the Jets at the moment. But are you actually aware of just what impact the Western Jets seems to be having on Hillside's form this year? Because it's quite, I suppose, humorous, Teo, that every time Hillside has a good day and they might get an upset, we go through the side that they played and we see all the Jets boys are in there, and then they'll lose a game that we're expecting them to win. They're quite disappointing, and all the Jets boys are actually playing with you guys, obviously. Are you actually aware of just what impact, I suppose, the Western Jets are having on Hillside's form? Because for us, it's actually quite funny.
Yeah, look, I am actually, Adam. I can understand that, and I know that at the start of the year when Hillside were going really well, and probably a few of those boys maybe weren't playing in our team, hence they were playing with Hillside, and Hillside were firing, and then all of a sudden come middle of the year, and obviously we have championships, and we're looking to give some of the bottom age players like Brandon Coletta and Jake Patolo more opportunities, and Rusi Komite and Hillside are going, we're really struggling now. So it is interesting to see that the club does rely on the junior footballers, but I think that's also the exciting part for Hillside, is that they've got a good group of young players that should their players maybe not, and remember it's very difficult to get to AFL level, and if they don't and they don't go to VFL, that if they can always have Hillside as their home club, then that'll be great for their club going forward.
Now, Torin, I want to talk about Corey Ellis because he's one of my favourites. I watched him quite a few times for the Jets. He's a really good kid as well. I've interviewed him a couple of times, and I was working back at the old Star paper. and he's comes from a good family as well. I know he's got two of his brothers that are also part of the Jets setup, and he might even have a younger brother that you might be coaching in a couple of years from now as well. So he's a good Keilor boy and a really good sort of elite midfielder. Tell us a bit about what sort of player he is and just how he's going this year, because the form I saw him in, not only for the Jets, but I know he played for Vic Metro as well. He looks like he's a real goer.
Yeah, Corey's a terrific kid. And yeah, you're right. He's from a great family, and we've really enjoyed working with all the Alice boys, and we hope we get the young one as well coming through. But Corey's strength that he's an absolute natural footballer, and his ball skills, kicking, just his spatial awareness is all high class, and he's an accumulator of the ball. So when you use it really well and you get it the amount of times that Corey does, you're going to make an impact in a game of footy. And he's a great character and really level-headed sort of kid, and quiet in his nature, but very level-headed. And I just think he'll have a really good AFL career.
And on the construction of the list, we touched on some of the other clubs that we don't often see appear at the Western Jets. Cam Holdsworth, Avondale Heights, also Ben Huckstep from Greenvale, and he's been someone that we've seen on our own match of the day playing senior football throughout the course of the year. I guess the question is, the Western Jets covers a very big territory, WRFL, Bacchus Marsh and Melton, and this western border of the EDFL. Do you think that the balance is right as far as the way it's working, or as the WRFL expands and starts to go further out towards Wyndham Council and more new clubs start to pop up, could there be a rezoning somewhere in the future, or do you think that's so far in the future that it's not really a short or a medium-term concern?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Tay. I mean, I think when originally the Calder was a new club in, and they obviously got some really good football areas, and the Western Zone was probably restricted in the areas that they could glean their players from. But with the growth of as you say, with the Wyndham area, it does it gives great. And there's Caroline Springs, that sort of area. There's a lot of young families moving out there. So we are getting more, I suppose, more kids coming through. But just one interesting thing, is that even though the growth of the population has certainly been in the Wyndham area over the last 10, 15 years, there's not as many, or there's I think that I was talking to Tom Delahanty, the Western Region Development Officer, the other day, and he was saying that hasn't translated into under 18 teams. So 10 years ago, there's still about the same amount of under 18 teams. So that's probably something for the region needs to work on, to make sure that kids aren't quitting footy at 15, 16 and Auskick and so forth, because we need to have the depth of numbers there. I mean, you look all around like, whether it's Roval out in the eastern area, the growth in the Geelong and Surf Coast area, I think areas are just getting bigger, and I know that North Ballarat are rezoning theirs because their areas wasn't growing as much, so they're now getting like Camperdown and Cobden and Terang rather than those going to Geelong Falcons. So potentially there could be some reclassification of zones, but I think at this point in time, called a really strong region, and they're probably certainly got some really good football areas. So they're probably the only area that's probably going to take away a little bit of us, and maybe North Ballarat might take the Bacchus Marsh area, but we've got some good kids from the Bacchus Marsh, so hopefully we'll keep them there, guys. So yeah.
Torin, one more Keilor boy that's having a really good year is Jaden Laverty. I think he was All-Australian after his performances for Vic Metro this year, and has obviously done some good things for the Western Jets. Tell us a bit about how he's tracking as well, because I know he's gathering a lot of attention from some AFL clubs, and he's a bit of an athletic freak, isn't he?
Yeah, look, Jaden, I think with Jaden is that he had a little bit of a slow start to the season, but just a couple of his performances at championships when maybe the Vic Metro weren't playing as well in a couple of the games against Country, he really stood out and played some excellent footy. And his last game that he played against South Australia was first class, and he went forward and kicked 3 goals, and really gave them a hope of winning the game. And he's right in terms of his athleticism. He's got great jumping ability, good speed, and he's at 190 centimetres, which who can play multiple roles. And I think he can play him sort of mid, back, forward. I think he'll still have an impact in the game of footy. And another really good kid, with great character and trains really hard. So and as you say, there are a lot of clubs that are obviously highly interested in getting Jayden to the club.
Well, Torin, thanks for being so generous with your time this afternoon. We look forward, hopefully, to having you maybe on the EDFL podcast around draft time once the footy's been played and we're into the off-season. But until then, enjoy the rest of the campaign with the Western Jets. Good luck in the finals as well. And we wish you all the best. And we're looking forward to seeing a number of the Hillside players run around today that are Western Jets listed. So great to have you on the show, and we look forward to catching up again in the future.
No worries, boys. Thanks for having me on the show.